Are the Lions going to whiff on a golden home run opportunity? What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today I'm taking a deep dive into the 2023 Detroit Lions. If you guys are new, feel free to stick around. Y'all know how to use YouTube at this point. Let's get right into this. We go through the depth chart and then go through the record prediction. Starting out with the offense, we go from skill position to line, then for defense, line to skill position. Quarterback, Jared Goff. I like him. I think he's a solid dude. I don't think that he's anything out of this world, but I think he's a guy that, if the situation is correct, is going to end up being carried to a Super Bowl. I think that he's not going to lose you very much. I just don't really see him winning very much. This is based off of our lads, so I can already tell based on the running back being listed David Montgomery, RB1. I don't know if that's completely true. I think there's an RBBC there, running back by committee, with Jahmyr Gibbs, who was the number 12 overall selection in the draft. I think that's going to be obviously a little bit more realistic, but regardless, talking about both of them, I think it's a very good compliment. It was a big surprise for the Lions to go that high on Gibbs. I wasn't as high on Gibbs, especially given the depth of the class. Y'all crucified me for taking Jahmyr Gibbs in the second for y'all, saying that like, yo, we got Monty. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, bro? And well, here we are. Just you and me. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like toot my horn saying I was right, but the fact is, I think it's a good fit, just way too early. And I think that was a big, I mean, in my opinion, that was kind of the story of the whole draft for y'all. It was good fit, way too early. Should have done something else. And I am a little bit worried about that. Looking at the wide receivers, Reynolds and Marvin Jones starting because Jameson Williams suspended. Not a fan. Not a fan. I say there's no wide receiver one as a bound. Like there's nobody who I really trust on the boundary. Amon-Ra is obviously a stud. He is the wide receiver one. When I'm talking about wide receiver one, I'm talking about a boundary receiver. I think Amon-Ra is an awesome player. So good for you guys for having at least somebody who's like that Wes Welker, Julian Edelman of your roster for the rest of time. Especially for Jared Goff, that's something that's kind of needed. So good for you guys. Cabinda, I'm not going to really talk about him, the fullback. But you got tight end Sam Laporta listed as tight end 1. For me, if I'm not mistaken, he was my tight end number 2. Pretty sure he was. Pretty sure he was my tight end 2. He was my tight end 1 starting out the year. Fell in love with him, and it's good to see him here. It's another guy who I thought should have went to you guys, but way too early in my opinion. Again, just way too early. I had him above Michael Mayer, so he went, I believe, before Michael Mayer. So it wasn't a huge shock to me in terms of like, oh, wow, like that was a huge no. I, again, just didn't really feel like you guys hit it on the head the way you needed to. That's my genuine opinion. You just drafted guys who are good fits way too early. Of course, it all goes away, but, we'll talk about it in a second. Offensive line, Taylor Decker, Penny Sewell on the bookend tackles, god tier. You got Jonah Jackson there, good player. Frank Ragnow, great. Hal Vaitai is that guy you guys wanted kind of out there. And, a lot of people were saying Osiris Torrance in the first round. You could have got him in the second. But, there's certainly, I think, a little bit of a hole right there. Nothing comes close to the fact that you guys don't really have a legitimate wide receiver 1. Reynolds hasn't really been able to find any footing for a long time. I don't think Marvin Jones is necessarily that good either. He's getting older. He has kind of, but Reynolds can't really get much worse. So that's why I have him as the most improved. And but yeah, I'll talk about the draft after we go into the defense. Other players of note, I love James Mitchell. He's listed as tight end 3 behind Zylstra, who's a good player as well. Graham Glasgow, he's center/guard hybrid. He got brought in for a backup. Some people say he's going to start. I don't know. You got Jermaine Ifedi there as well, good depth. And then you have Khalif Raymond, who is a fun player, but you're not going to see meaningful reps over Amon-Ra St. Brown. But at least you get to have him rested. So defensive-wise, you have a pretty damn interesting squad. This is, again, listed from our lads. Kaminsky, solid player. Isaiah Buggs, as a Steelers fan, I want to say woo. I do like Isaiah Buggs, but not necessarily the guy who I want nosing on my team. And a lot of y'all were very adamant about the fact that you wanted to get some new defensive interior help. You ended up getting that with Broderick Martin, but everybody says it's poor man's Jordan Davis, and I am not sold yet. Ali McNeil is a solid player, and then behind him, I think you have Levi Onwuzurike. who hasn't really been completely there. Aiden Hutchinson obviously is a beast. I love him to death. James Houston is also a really good Sam linebacker. That's a good blitzer. Then you got Alex Anzalone, who I think is, serviceable. Jack Campbell was, if I'm not mistaken, my linebacker one in the class. Him and Jack Campbell him and Drew Sanders were challenging for it. But it's another guy, so this is where I'm going to bring in this conversation. It's another guy who said this was a dream fit to the Lions. And it's just too early, man. It's just too early. You guys lack that wide receiver one that I was talking about. And you guys honestly lack a number one corner. And I'll talk about that again in a second. You missed probably two of the most important skill positions to fill ones that are not nearly as valuable. Now, you got good players, but I think that now it's not what you're going to do this year, but what are you going to do next year? That's the unfortunate thing, because you'll get Jameson Williams back. He'll get some more reps. He'll get ready. And then you'll probably draft a wide receiver in this coming year that's going to be that big boundary X. You just aren't there yet. You'll get a corner number one. You guys lost Jeff Okudah, which I thought was a crime. That was the thing. If Jeff Okudah were here, I'd be much more optimistic. And this defense is good. I mean, you look at Tracy Walker, who's a great player. You look at Kirby Joseph, who's awesome. Wish you kind of got Sidney Brown so you could pair him back up, but that's okay. Then you have Chauncey, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, backed up by Brian Branch. God tier. And then you have Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton. Emmanuel Mosley, I don't fully trust. He's also on a one-year deal, so it's not like this guy's fully invested in the team. Then you have Cam Sutton as well. To be fair, C.J. Gardner-Johnson isn't fully invested either. He's trying to have a 1 year before getting a big contract. But Cam Sutton, as a Steelers fan, I like the guy. I thought it was a good signing. You paid him a lot of money, more than I would have paid him. But it was definitely an addition that was needed there with Jeff Okudah being your future number one. That's no longer the case. I don't want Emmanuel Mosley there. So I am certainly very scared. I think this defense is very solid. But you guys aren't. It's just not good enough in the positions that are required to be good enough. That's my issue. Notable backups as well. You got Josh Pascal there, second round pick from a little bit over a year ago. You got the Okwara brothers there as well. So at Sam linebacker as well as I believe listed at rush. Then you have Ifeatu Melifonwu also down there at free safety. Good players overall. You have a really good team, but man, it's like you guys are lacking in the areas that matter most. And that's my issue. So we go to 7-10. That's a big oof. You guys are going to drop. That's a big oof. My issue is I don't believe, especially with that wide receiver core being, definitely weakened. Granted, you lost one catch from last year, but I do think Jameson Williams is a big part of what this year was going to be. I think that you guys lost a significant part of your momentum. And, you go to Kansas City, Super Bowl competitor, not going to win that one. Seattle, in my opinion, Super Bowl competitor, not going to win that one. I'm being very generous by giving you a win versus Atlanta. Green Bay, you're in Lambeau Field. They have a very, very good team. I'm going to give them that W, especially because they have a good set of corners. And you guys don't really have the deep threat to scare them off with the safeties that are one of their issues. Carolina, they're a damn good team. Don't sleep on Carolina. You go to Tampa Bay. I'm being very generous because I always usually give Florida teams the W. And I took away a W from the Bears going to Tampa Bay. Just saying. You got Baltimore there. Baltimore's another Super Bowl competitor. Giving you guys a W versus Vegas. And then you go to Los Angeles after a bye. That's a tough one to win. I'm having you split with the Bears. And I actually have you splitting with the Packers too. So I'm being very generous here. You go to New Orleans. I think New Orleans is a very talented team. And they're at home. I'm going to give them the nod there. And you face Denver. If you faced them at Denver, they're whooping your ass. I was very generous. You have a tough schedule. Minnesota is a talented roster, man. They are a good team, and I'm still splitting with them too. I really am pulling some for you guys. Going to Dallas as well to end off the year. Cowboys could pull Cowboys, and you end up being 8-9 and tying for first in the division. If I'm not mistaken, I have it listed as third, but you guys are second in the division. That's on me. You guys are second. But you still do pick at 12th. You guys are right behind. You're one game behind the Vikings. So literally one game flip here. So Green Bay at the beginning. New Orleans, if they're not that good, Dallas easily could get you guys to the top of the roster, so to speak. It's a tough year. It is for this whole ass division. It's tough, and that's gonna be the theme of it. That's gonna be the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the far side.